Hello and welcome to the 10.1 and 10.2 quiz review. Tomorrow's quiz will only be 7 questions, so you want to make sure you know exactly what you're doing so that you can get finished with it right away. This is going to cover volume of rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. And just a reminder, you want to be writing everything that you see here on lined paper. So I will collect this before the quiz tomorrow and you will receive a grade for it. And there are 7 problems. You want to make sure to number each one of your problems. And you, like I said, will be turning this in tomorrow. You can do the best that you can with the figures. You want to draw them the best that you can and label them with their dimensions. Okay, so for this first problem, it says to find the volume. So I have changed the numbers a little bit so that they're easier numbers to work with, so I can make sure that you have the concept. So since this is a triangular prism and it's a find the volume question, that means that you're going to have 2 formulas. So the first formula that you're going to have is V equals big B times little h. That's saying the area of the base, the area of the base of the prism, which we're going to go ahead and outline right now because that should really be outlined first. Oops. So got the area of the base like this. You want to make sure to do that first. Also, this perpendicular sign right here is super, super important. You want to make sure that before you start labeling any dimensions that you've identified that perpendicular sign right there because that tells you that the triangle is up and down. It's correctly facing the direction you need it to be. Sometimes they're going to be turned upside down or sideways, and that little perpendicular box is what's going to tell you which direction the base is in or the height of the triangle. So for this particular problem, again, we want to go ahead and outline the triangle, and then the next piece over here, we're going to have big B equals base times height divided by 2. Now remember, that is the formula for finding the area of the base. So we just outlined that triangle in red. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff here, some of the pieces here. So the first thing you want to start with is we're going to be finding big B. So now we need to locate the base of the triangle. So again, notice that I did tell you that the triangle is correctly oriented, meaning it's up and down, it's not upside down. And so we can look here and we can see that the base is going to be 10 centimeters. So we're going to write 10 in right here where you see the little b. Remember, the little b is going to be for base of the triangular base. So now we need the height of the triangle. If you notice that dotted line and then the black line pointing to the dotted line, that's telling you, hey, this is the height of the triangle. It won't be the sides, the slant height. It will definitely be the height that's in the center, especially if the triangle looks like this. So now we're going to go ahead and plug in. First, let's underline it here. We'll underline it in purple. And we're going to go ahead and plug in that 2 for the height right there. Now, you don't want to make this mistake. You want to make sure that you follow through with the rest of that formula because see that divided by 2 right there? You need to make sure that you keep that so that you can divide that, you can keep that as the area of the base. So now what you want to do is go ahead and cross simplify those 2 2's, and then you are left with the area of the base is going to be equal to 10. Now, of course, that'll be 10 centimeters squared, but you don't need that for right now. Once you find the 10, now you're going to go ahead and write V for volume because you're solving for volume, so you don't know what that is yet. Now that we know what big B is, notice we got big B right here. We got a 10, so we're going to put a 10 in. I'm using the colors that are specific to each one so that you can see the correlation where I'm getting these numbers from. And then you want to work with the height of the prism. So the height of the prism is going to be the last piece, and I will go ahead and underline that one in red. The height of the prism that we have here is 25, so we're going to go ahead and put multiply by 25 because remember, when we have 2 letters next to each other and there's nothing in between, that means to multiply. So now we're going to go ahead and multiply by 25, and when we multiply by 25 we get V equals 250. Now when you finish this problem, it's actually going to be V equals 250. We need to look back at our units. They were centimeters, and because it's volume, it's going to be cubic centimeters, and then make sure to put a box around your answer. On the quiz, you'll just write your answer on the answer line. All right, so here you'll see number 2 on your quiz review. You want to be sure that you write number 2 and that you sketch this figure the best that you can. So as you can see, we have a rectangular prism here. So we're going to start with our formula, which is V equals length times width times height. And then we need to go ahead and identify which one is which. So when we're looking at our rectangular prism, I went ahead and changed it into black so that the formula itself was in black. Now keep in mind, on the quiz itself, I'm going to be looking to make sure that you're substituting the numbers into the right spots. So now we've got V equals length times width times height. So remember, the trick I taught you about length is to look at the one that's from left to right. So you can see that that 22 right there is the one that's from left to right. So we're going to have V equals, and now since I've used the red, I'm going to go ahead and circle that. So 22 times, and then we're going to look for the width. Remember, the width is going to be from front to back. So you can see that 13 feet right there. So the width will be there. Times, now the last piece is you need the height of the rectangular prism. And from bottom to top, you can see that 5 right there. And so now your last step is going to be to just multiply all of that out. So as you can see, I went ahead and multiplied 22 and 5 together just because it seemed like that would be easier for me. So I got 110, and then I need to remember that I still need to multiply the 13 times 110, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And as you can see, I went ahead and multiplied 110 times 13. We got 1,430, and our final answer is going to be V equals 1,430 feet cubed, or cubic feet. Be sure to number your problem. This is number 3. It says to find the missing dimension of each prism. So right here you have a rectangular prism. So you want to start with your formula, which is going to be V equals LWH. Remember, your L does need to be written that way because we need to be able to distinguish the L from the number 1. So now we want to identify each piece. So we do know our volume is going to be 60 inches cubed. So we're going to write a 60 right there. Then we're going to look for our length, and as you can see, our length right here is what we're missing, so we're just going to write an L. And then it'll be an L times. Now we're going to look for the width. Now the width, remember, is going to be from front to back, and so we're looking at the width right here. So that's going to be 2.5 times, and then the height. So finally we have the height, which will be 4. All right, so now we go ahead and do some of this math here. So we get 60, stop, Rocky, that was Rocky. We get 60 equals, then we can leave our L the way that it is, and then we just need to multiply out 2.5 times 4. So we'll do that off to the side. Now remember, when some of you were working on your Chapter 9 test, some of you made some errors with multiplying decimals, dividing decimals. Not too many of you, but you just want to make sure that you pay close attention. So once you do the multiplication there, you're going to move the decimal out one space and then back in. So now you find out that it's going to be L times 10. So now we can rewrite this as an equation. So we have 60 equals, and you can keep it as L10 or 10L. It doesn't really matter. I'll keep it as L10. Actually, no, I'm gonna write it as 10L because that's how I would view it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna divide both sides. Stop, Rocky. We're gonna divide both sides by 10 so that we can undo that multiplication. So now we're gonna cross that out and we're left with L equals 6. So that is our final answer here, that the length, which is our missing dimension, is going to be equal to 6 inches. Now don't forget that you need to write the unit of measurement. Okay, here you see number 4. It says to find the volume of each prism. I specifically included this problem because the triangle is not oriented properly. So first, since we're working with the volume of a triangular prism, we're going to first start with the formula. V equals big B times H, and then big B equals base times height divided by 2. So that's what we always need to start with. Then we are going to outline our triangular base. So we have this, whoops. All right, so I went ahead and outlined my triangular base, and I also went ahead and highlighted or put an outline over the perpendicular box, because what that's saying is that you need to sort of turn this shape around. So you need to look at this shape as if this part right here was on the bottom, because that is in fact your base. So since you don't have a number there though, you want to look across the way and you can see that your base of your triangle is going to be 7. So now we have base equals, we've got the 7 for the base of the triangle. Now this is very important. The base of the triangle now needs a height. If this is the bottom, you want to think about it like this. So let's pretend like that's our triangle. Let's pretend like it's right side up now. So see that 7 went right down here. We got that from here. Then that means over here is going to be your, let me make sure it goes all the way over there, your height. So notice you don't have a number there, so you need to look over here across the way, and you can see I'm going to circle it in purple, because if this is the height, then this is, oops, then this is also the height, because they're the same length. So now you get a 9 right there. So now we're going to do 7 times 9, and then you can't forget to do the formula all the way, divided by 2. So now we're going to get that the big base is going to be equal to 63 divided by 2. And the big base is going to be equal to 31.5. And so then once we get the 31.5, what we're saying is all the area inside of our triangular base is 31.5. So I'm actually going to rewrite my main formula, this one right here. I'm going to rewrite it over here. V equals big B times H. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase it from here so that I can have enough space over here. So now we're going to do volume equals, now my big B was 31.5. We're going to put that in right here, 31.5, because that was the area of the triangular base. So we want to put that in right there, times, now we need the height of the prism. So right here you can see, and I'm just going to erase some of these arrows and stuff so that you can actually see the whole figure. So right here you can see that the height is going to be right there. So if you were to lay this triangular prism on its face, which would be the actual triangle itself, then that would be how tall it was from bottom to top. So that is going to be your height. So you're going to put 11 right here. And then you just want to do the work for it, 31.5 times 11. And as you can see, we find out that the volume is going to be 346.5, and we need feet cubed, or cubic feet. Don't forget that at the end. You want to make sure that you have cubic feet when you're finding the volume of the triangular prism. Okay, again, you want to make sure that you're numbering your problems here. You do want to copy the word problem. This is number 5. It says a candle is in the shape of a triangular prism. So first we're going to go ahead and underline the triangular prism. It says the base has an area, that's a super important word, of 30 square inches. Because what that's saying is, it's not saying that the length of the base or the length of the height of the triangle, it's saying big B. So off to the side here, I want you to draw a little arrow and write that this is big B. So they're saying big B equals 30, okay? Then it says, we're going to go back to red again, the candle has a height of 6 inches. Find the volume of the candle. So we're going to be solving for volume, and this is a triangular prism problem. V equals big B times H. Now normally I would tell you to write the formula for big B out to the side, but this is the exception. You don't need to do that right now because V is equal to, big B was the 30, see that 30 right there, times the 6 inches is the height. See right here where it says the height? So now we have 6, and so then we're going to get that the volume is equal to 180. And remember, all of this was in inches, so it's going to be cubic inches. So you should actually be on the lookout for these problems, because with these problems, part of it's already done for you. All right, so again, with this problem, you just want to make sure that when you see that where it says the base has an area of, it's already working through that base equals BH divided by 2. All right, number 6. What is the width of a rectangular prism with a length of 13 feet, volume of 11,232 cubic feet, and a height of 36 feet? So this is a word problem similar to the one you're going to have on your quiz. And there are obviously dimensions that are written, and you're going to be solving for the missing dimension. So you know, the first thing you know is that you need to underline the rectangular prism. That's super important that you figure out what type of problem it is before you start anything, because you need to know which formulas you're going to use. So now, because it's a rectangular prism, I'm going to start with V equals LWH. Excuse me. So now I'm going to see what I can find within the problem itself. I can see here that the volume is 11,232. So I'm going to write 11,232 right here. Then I'm going to see what else I can find. Looks here, it says with a length of 13 feet. So see the length, 13 feet. So I'm going to write a 13 right there. And I'm going to write a little multiplication dot so that I know I'm going to be multiplying. Then it says it has a height of 36 feet. So what that means is that we're missing the width. So rather than writing 36 right there, we need to make sure that we're substituting into our formula. So it would be L times W times H. So since the W is what's missing, I'm going to be looking to make sure that you have 13 times W times, and then the next part is going to be the height, which will be 36 feet. So as you can see, we have a height here of 36 feet. So we're going to go ahead and plug in that 36 right here. So now what I would suggest is doing the math on the 13 times W times 36 side, and then leaving the volume as it is for right now. So we have 11,232 equals, now off to the side, we're going to want to do the multiplication for 36 times 13. So now as you can see, we have done our multiplication, and we came up with the answer that we have 468W. So I'm going to write 468, and then I'm still going to keep my W in pink so that you can see that that's what we're solving for. From here, we're going to treat this just like it's an equation. So we're going to go ahead and, since we're multiplying 468 by W, to undo that, we can divide both sides by 468. So let's go ahead and write divided by 468 and divided by 468. We're going to cross simplify the 468s over here, and we'll be left with W equals. Now off to the side, we're just going to do that division, 11,232 divided by 468. So now with this division problem, you can see that you've got some pretty big numbers here. So if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking 468, and then I'm thinking, okay, we're talking about basically 1,100. So 500, so I'm going to look and see off to the side if what 468 times 2 gives me. All right, so as you can see here, I just did some trial and error. I wanted to see what 468 times 2 gave me, and it gave me 936. And then I did times 3 to see how far off I was or if I went over. So it's got to be a 2, and remember, you have to make sure that that 2 goes over the 3 because you're talking about it going in to the 1123. So now we have 936 that goes right here. We're going to subtract that out. Then we get 187. We're going to drop the 2 down. And I can actually see that since I did the 468 times 3 and I got 1404, I can see that if I add another 468 to that, it should give me that 1872. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7, 8, 1. It does. So what that means is up here at the top, 468 times 4 will give me 1872. Which is 0. So now we know that our missing dimension or the width is going to be 24. And before you write your final answer, it'll be width equals 24, and you need to make sure you look to see what the dimensions were, and they were feet. Remember, it's not cubic feet, it's got to be just feet because it's the one missing dimension. Congratulations, you have made it to question number 7. This is going to be the last question on your review, and it will be the last question on your quiz, something similar to this. So let's go ahead and dive into it. It says, find the base length of a shipping box in the shape of a triangular prism. So you're going to want to underline the triangular prism. The shipping box has a volume of 276 cubic feet. Okay, a base height of 6.9 feet and a height of 10 feet. So let's see what we have here. So the first thing I'm going to start with is my two formulas. I've got volume equals big B times little h, and then big B equals base times height divided by 2. Remember, this is for the triangle. This is the area of the triangle right here. Okay? Whoops, right there. Oh, that doesn't even look like an arrow. There we go. Still doesn't look like an arrow. One more time. There. All right, so now it says the shipping box has a volume of 276 cubic feet. So we know that the volume is 276. So let's go over here because we can plug that in. 276 equals, now it didn't tell us the area of the base. So we need to come back to this problem over here. So we're going to write big base equals, now it says a base height, so that's talking about the base, and that's talking about the height. So the base height of 6.9 feet. That means it's going to be base times 6.9. Okay, so we don't know though what the B is yet. And a height, meaning the prism height, so our height is going to be right here. So this is talking about the prism height, and that's going to be 10. So we're going to just fill in big B times, and then we have the prism height, which is, 10. Okay, so now let's see what we have. Now when it says the base length right here, what it's talking about is this B right here. So you want to make sure, and I should probably, let me go ahead and erase that really quickly. You want to make sure that, I'll just put a box around the triangular prism. So you want to make sure that you have the B there because it's saying base length. They're talking about, when you're talking about a triangle like this, they're talking about the base length right there. So now you have the base length, which we'll be solving for, times the 6.9, which is the height of the base, divided by 2. So now from here, you do need to work this problem out on the side before you can work out the volume problem. So now, because you're missing a piece here, this B that's in red, and because you're missing a piece here, the big B that's in black over here, let's go ahead and work through this problem first, the one over here on the left. We've got B10, or 10B, equals 276. So let's divide out that 10, and now we're going to be left with big B equals, and now 276 divided by 10. All right, so 276 divided by 10 is just going to give you 27.6 because you're just going to move that decimal over one space, the imaginary decimal. So now that you know that B, big B, is equal to 27.6, you can plug that in over here. So now you're going to write 27.6 equals, and remember, that's because you got that right here, equals, now we know we're still missing that B times 6.9 divided by 2. So now, again, this is still kind of a wishy-washy problem. You want to make sure that you've used base times height divided by 2, because now you can just multiply each side by 2 to get rid of that 2 on the bottom. So multiply by 2, multiply by 2. You're going to cross simplify those. Now we're going to multiply that by 2. So we get the following problem, 55.2, which is what this 27.6 and the 2 multiplied together make, 55.2, equals 6.9b, because that's what we were left with up here. So now you can see that the problem is kind of starting to sort itself out. Now you just need to divide each side by 6.9, and then you're all set. So let's go ahead and do that division now. And you can see my guess and check multiplication in the bottom. You can also see the that down there where I have the 8. So I found out that 552, you can divide 552 divided by 69, because remember we had to move the decimal place out one space for each. So now I get 8. So then I find out that my final answer, so I'm going to erase a little bit of this over here, this part right here, and so that I can write my final answer, which is B equals 8. Then I need to look at my units, and they were feet. So the base is going to be equal to 8 feet. So you're going to want to make sure to review this problem a couple times so that you know how to do this, because it is a little tricky because it goes back and forth between both. So I may actually do a separate video on that, but I want to get this one out to you now. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.